strongly aspirated version here of car number 110. We see him here. This is John Maloney, not the youngest driver in the sport by any manner of means, but one who has been very successful over the past 2 seasons with this car. Another ex-rally car, used to be used a lot in the Scottish Championships, but now finding a new home with these Group B cars in the world of rallycross. And John Maloney is coming away. Ex-David Galander's car, that one goes through over the finish line, so victory there in this B final for Formula A cars, and that puts him onto the back of the A final.
In fact, the red flag was caused by the fact that the Aidan Creek car was in fact across the circuit, so that was the cause of the red flag.
Yeah, thanks for that confirmation, Alan. We're into the B final of Formula B. There you see the Ward Building System Sierra of Tony Proctor getting away very quickly. Derek Jobb in the act as well, but move it faster, it says on front, and it's certainly what's happening here for this man who's having a pretty useful run at the moment. Mick Mantell goes away into the lead, then Mick Mantell away into the lead. Mick Mantell, Tony Proctor, who's come into this race by virtue of winning the C final for Formula B. There goes 1, 2, 3. That's another one of the very quick Irish lads, Jimmy Heslip. Jimmy going away there from Newton Ards. But up front it is Mick Mantell from Aldermaston with the John Minty powered BDG Mark II Ford Escort, chased there by that Pinto powered Toyota Starlet that we saw earlier of Bill Barker, with Tony Prock up into 3rd place then. Prock, who's come through from the back row of the grid into 3rd place. The big man, the farmer from Redston in Yorkshire, with the V6 24 valve 400 brake horsepower Sierra, which is a bit of a handful on a tight circuit like this. Mick Mantell going well. There we see Procky coming through. Backing for this series, or this meeting I should say today, also coming from P&O European Ferries, with whom a lot of the drivers have travelled over here to be with us today from England. And as ever, being made to feel very, very welcome by the warmth and hospitality of the Irish people, and of course also the superb organisation once again of the Larne Motor Club. Procky still sitting there in 3rd place, still Bill Barker holding him off. To the best of my knowledge, it's the first time I've seen Bill Barker in a round of the British Series, as we get Jimmy Heslop in troubles. Jimmy Heslop in troubles there with his Escort, getting away again, car number 1, 2, 3. Jimmy in the 2-litre Escort pulling away to rejoin the race, but there's Bill Barker still putting a lot of pressure onto Tony Proctor. This Pinto engine in the Starlet must be giving a lot of brake horsepower away, and that is not just the job for Derek, number 30, sorry about the pun, but Derek Jobb spinning off there as he came up into the complex. Out of the chicane though comes Jimmy Heslip. Jimmy Heslip going away, but there's our race leader, Mick Mantell. You saw him in the wet at Brands Hatch in December last year. You remember, Alan? That's right, yes, at the TVS series last year, and very flamboyant because he was champion of Brands. That's right, the two-wheel drive champion of Brands, and Mick Mantell it is, coming away, an import clerk by profession in the Intermediate Transport sponsored Escort. Engine on this car prepared by John Minty, the man who does the Barry Squibb and Gary Baker engines. But look at this man, Mr. Barker, Bill Barker, the garage proprietor from Omar, coming in to have a really close look now. But as they go to the flag, it is indeed Mick Mantell then winning this one from Bill Barker, with Procky in 3rd place, Sam Crawford in 4th, as we go straight into the B final for the smaller cars, the Formula Cs. Roy Boy, of course, is on the back row of the grid, but away up in front it is indeed Bill Skirmer, I think, from Steve Bogg. Bill Skirmer from Steve Bogg. Then we see the green and blue car of Alan Coates, but it is Bill Skirmer. Now this is the Peugeot 205 that was driven in rallying last year by John Milner. There's Roy Boy, of course, who's got to come through from the back of the grid to try and fight his way now into the A final. Just 6 cars at a time, you'll notice, here at Nuts Corner. That's all the track licence permits the organisers to start. With the tightness of the track and the power and the speed that these cars have got these days, that's perhaps not a bad idea. But there goes Bill Skirmer on his way in the C&M Joinery Peugeot 205, only Bill's 2nd outing in this car, and he's getting to grips with it very well indeed. Steve Bogg putting him under a lot of pressure, and up there in 3rd place, I think we do indeed have Mark Proctor. Mark Proctor in 3rd place. Boy going on his way for the Dynetics team. But up front, it is still Bill Skirmer. Bill looking for a place in the A final. Still Mark Proctor in 3rd. And the situation reversed to that we saw earlier in our transmission in the heats, as he has Steve Bogg in front of him this time. And the two Novas chasing hard on the Peugeot. Very much the cars to have in Formula C, Alan,
yeah, I think
at the
so.
moment.
Yeah, with the Nova obviously in the hands of Mark Proctor. Done very well last year, being 3rd overall in last year's championship. Sad to say his last outing, I'm afraid, in this car, but the Peugeot 205 in the hands of one John Milner, who you may have heard of. Do we see Bill Skirmer going to be challenging for the Peugeot honours later on this year?
Let's hope so. And look at this. Oh, yeah, look at this. And Mark Proctor trying to come through on the inside of Steve Bogg. And Steve Bogg, we said they were mates. I wonder if they were. I wonder if they still are. They were. Yeah. Mark was diving for the inside line there, and Steve comprehensively moved over and he closed the door. Did he close it? And Mark was onto the grass in order to keep a forward motion going. He tucks in once again behind Steve Bogg. So these two lads from Yorkshire having a tremendous battle, but that's all to the favour of Bill Skirmer. It's keeping them without striking distance of his lead. And Bill it is, who is a development engineer with the Austin Rover Group from Birmingham, comes on his way. Bill Skirmer, still the battle going on between the Novas for the second and third places. Still Steve Bogg with the advantage. Steve Bogg there from Malton, near neighbour from Redstone, Mark Proctor. Still that smoke haze coming from Mark's car, but still causing no problems to the forward speed. That hasn't diminished at all. And Mark, who said brought the car over here to try and sell it, goes on to his last lap now, onto their last lap. And we hear whispers that Mark Proctor is indeed thinking of emigrating to Australia later in the year. Stories of a season in karting before he goes over there, but later this year Mark is thinking of moving over to Australia. He's thinking of moving into third place if he can at the moment. A tremendous battle going on there as they move back and forth across the circuit. Steve Bogg trying everything he can to keep Mark Proctor behind him and succeeding, but it is indeed Bill Skirmer leading them away through the complex for the last time. Still Mark Proctor there chasing hard, trying everything he can to find a way through, but at the flag he hasn't managed to do it, and it's Bill Skirmer taking the victory with the Novas second and third. Yes, so Mark Proctor having to settle for third place there, but after the fraught problems in the car park this morning, he'll be pleased with that. And we can see that the Irishman Gavin Jess picking up a good fourth place with his Mini. Right, straight into the A final for the Formula A cars. The head-to-head battle here, Alan, between Stephen Palmer and Will Gollop.
Yeah, Will Gollop, of course, bi-turbo. Steve Palmer, of course, normally aspirated.
Yes, and Steve going up to the 3.8 normally aspirated engine. Will going the bi-turbo route with about 600 brake horsepower from the Cliff Humphreys engine. And it is indeed Will Gollop from Steve Palmer. Squibby, then comes John Maloney, then goes John Welch for the Sphere Drake mobile car, and we join John inside the car there as we travel around the Nuts Circuit corner, or the Nuts Corner circuit I should say, chasing hard, but up front we can see that Will Gollop getting away a little bit from Steve Palmer. Still Barry Squibb holding a good third place, and of course Will Gollop came over here last year and took in this meeting at Nuts Corner where he won it. We know that during qualifying this afternoon, Stephen Palmer has just been the quickest by about a tenth of a second and has established a new track record here at Nuts Corner, but it's Will Gollop who's got the advantage at the moment. And Will Gollop, it is still leading from Steve Palmer, Squibby in third place. Then comes the leading Irishman in this race, John Maloney in fourth spot. John Maloney in fourth, but it's Will Gollop away, the Cliff Humphreys prepared engine being used for the very first time in anger here at Nuts Corner this afternoon. And Will Gollop it is, with the 600 brake horsepower at his advantage, coming away, telling me this morning that if there's a weak point on the car at the moment, they think it's the front differential. And of course, we're probably running also a fairly low boost this afternoon, anxious not to damage that car early on. We can see a little bit of front end damage there to Steve Palmer's car, showing how close it was during the very early stages of this race, and indeed it's getting closer as I speak, because Steve closing in a bit there on Will, as Barry Squibb, who has managed to steer clear of punches this weekend so far, he hangs on to third place. And of course the new rule, Alan, in the championship this year is as soon as you enter an event you score points.
Absolutely right, that includes all the finals you're in and also the super final as well. So points, what do points make? Points make points.
Points make places.
So all important for this year's championship.
It is. Will Gollop came here last year, he won, but he was not a championship contender, and eventually the maximum points went to Steve Palmer, who finished second on the road. This year there'll be no such luck for Steve Palmer to get the maximum points in this final today, and that's 20 in Formula A. We're looking for the results here. To get 20 points, he has actually got to be first past the flag, and that isn't happening at the moment. We've still got Will Gollop out there with the advantage as we get Dennis Bickerstaff going through. Again, a bit of front-end damage as we we can see Dennis chasing hard on John Welch there. Dennis, who is the leading Irish driver in the British Championship at the moment. I think that smoke's coming from a tyre rubbing on the bodywork rather than a mechanical problem. As Steve Palmer closes right in once again on Will Gollop. They go into the chicane there. You can see the paddock behind them, but it's still Will Gollop with the advantage, and at Nuts Corner it is very, very difficult to get through, very difficult to find a way through, and indeed it is still Will Gollop leading by now the very close margin as Steve Palmer has clawed right in. It's the lad from Kent versus the boy from Sussex, and it's the silk-lean car of Will Gollop just winning from the Practical Computers entry as we go back quickly to see who is in third place, and that indeed is John Maloney from the Republic of Ireland. John Maloney home in third place ahead of Barry Squibb, but good result there for Barry, and it's good to see John Welch coming home with a useful result. Yes, John in fifth position, just out of the frame.
John Welch, in fact, experiencing temper problems with the Astra, in fact, today.
Green Sport cameras continue to bring you as he goes away up into the top of the first corner. It is indeed Brian Bettridge who's got the lead. Brian Bettridge away in the lead. Tony Barty second place. Third place we can see is the very promising young Irishman Martin Elliott, but a terrific battle already beginning to break for the lead, and it is Brian Bettridge leading Tony Barty. Now we know that Tony's car is not the quickest off the start line, but it certainly is a very quick motor car once he gets going. He knows the Nuts Corner very, very well because he comes over here to do the Belfast Ferries Championship, but at the moment he's sitting there in the second spot and he's going to have to try and find a way past Brian Bettridge if he possibly can. We've got a race on our hands here, Alan.
I think so. Tony Barty, of course, current Formula B champion, looking once again to take the title for the second year, but just look at the way Brian Bettridge is holding the bay in that rear-wheel drive Mark III Escort.
Yes, and young Martin Elliott hanging on there extremely well. I hate GR4s, it says on the back. He's still got the two-wheel drive Mark II Escort, of course, and he's hanging on extremely well, this youngster from Northern Ireland, who's looked upon by many of the rallycross fraternity as probably the most talented youngster in Northern Ireland at the present moment in time. And we can see him there still in third place, but up front it is still Tony Barty trying to get this Vauxhall Dealer Sport car through on the inside of Brian Bettridge by hook or by crook. He will still lead the Formula B Championship of Great Britain, providing he finishes here in second place, but there's no way that on points that Bettridge can overtake him today, but to finish ahead of him on the road, of course, will certainly pull in 3 points. He'll get 20 points for winning, 17 for second place, so it'll be a 3-point advantage to Bettridge if he can take the victory here, and both of them, as you can see, are on the absolute limit as they come away through the twists and turns here at the Nuts Corner venue. Still Tony Barty sitting there right ready to pounce should Bettridge make the slightest error, but Brian Bettridge isn't making an error, and we can see behind them there's a marvellous battle going on between the Irishmen, and it is indeed Clive Richardson coming in to have a look for the third place there now. Clive Richardson battling it out with Martin Elliott, but up front the two Englishmen still very much at it. The boy from the Midlands, Brian Bettridge, versus the North Yorkshire driver from Scotch Corner, the North Yorkshire Rally Conversions prepared car, number 26, Tony Barty. And Tony Barty is putting all kinds of pressure still and getting alongside Bettridge here. This is where he might do it, but no, he doesn't. Again, Bettridge got it, and Tony Barty tries the other side. And again, Bettridge has got the inside line, and Tony Barty tries the other side again. And again, Bettridge holds him at bay. Well, this really is fantastic stuff. Really is rally crossing at its very, very best, because not only is it fast and close, it's also very clean as they come onto their last lap. Alan, I don't think he's going to do it.
No, I don't think so. The Nuts Corner's looking very, very tight indeed, and of course the oversteer characteristics of the rear-wheel drive Escort of Brian Bettridge means that the understeering Astra of Tony Barty has to give way on the inside of the corners.
That's right, very wide Escort there at times for Brian Bettridge, and Brian Bettridge is then with the advantage still as they come away. Brian Bettridge is going to win this one, I do believe. Brian Bettridge coming down, and there is the checkered flag, and yes, Brian Bettridge takes the victory for the first time this series. We've seen Tony Barty defeated, so Tony dropping down